Well, no one has claimed responsibility for the attacks, but the denials are coming thick and fast. The PLO and Afghanistan's Taliban have both expressed shock and said unequivocally it wasn't them.
Osama bin Laden, a Saudi-born billionaire, has been waging a terrorist war against American interests from his base in Afghanistan. And his Islamic extremists may be the ones with the organization and the audacity to commit such an outrage. Last year, bin Laden's followers launched a suicide bomb attack against the USS Cole in the port of Aden, killing 17 sailors. And in August 1998, American embassies in Kenya and Tanzania were bombed by bin Laden's extremists. 224 people died. The World Trade Center's towers had previously been attacked 8 years ago, 6 people dying in a basement car bomb. Again, bin Laden's Al-Qaeda organization was held responsible.
They've attacked our embassies in Africa. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But before you make any drastic decisions about retaliation, I think you have to make sure you have compelling evidence that it was the Al-Qaeda organization.
The United States, of course, has many enemies. Libyan leader Colonel Gaddafi is one. And Iraq's Saddam Hussein has been engaged in a constant duel with American and British warplanes since the end of the Gulf War. In Arab parts of Jerusalem, some Palestinians celebrated when they heard news of the attacks, but Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat expressed shock and sorrow.
First of all, I am offering my condolences, the condolences of the Palestinian people to the American President, President Bush, to his government, to the American people for this terrible act. We are completely shocked, unbelievable.
Until today, this was the worst act of terrorism on American soil, the bombing in 1995 of the federal building in Oklahoma. 168 people were killed, but the perpetrator was American, Timothy McVeigh, who was later convicted and executed. But those responsible for this were surely not Americans, and the finger of blame must point to Islamic fundamentalists.
Bin Laden declared clearly 5 years ago that he will attack American interests and American embassies and American troops in the Middle East. He issued a fatwa, which is Islamic ruling calling to kill the American and to kill the Jews. So the man declared his intention clearly. So when something big like this happens, usually the finger will point it at him.
Now the most powerful intelligence and military operation in the world will redouble its effort to track down Osama bin Laden and bring him to justice.
While no one is sure who's responsible for the tragedy, there are some leads. Numerous cell phone calls were made from the doomed flights before they crashed, describing people armed with box cutter knives. But it's one call in particular from an American Airlines flight attendant that may give investigators the information they need.
The flight attendant was also able to tell the American Airlines Operations Center. She reached them and told them what was going on board. She was able to tell them the actual seat number of the passenger who was causing the problems on the plane. So that may lead authorities at least to one name, at least the name of the person who booked that ticket.
Well, a mystery explosion in the Afghan capital, Kabul, briefly heightened suspicion that the mastermind behind today's attack was Osama bin Laden. The explosion came after the attacks on New York and Washington and was for a time believed to be an American response. But the U.S. Defense Secretary says the U.S. did not attack the city. Bin Laden, although a Saudi by birth, is based in Afghanistan.
Until today, a terrorist attack on this scale was unthinkable. But every national security service is now hastily reviewing its ability to stop anything similar. Ultimately, though, the experts say they can offer no guarantee.
July 1985, and the previously unthinkable happened. The target not an international symbol of capitalism, but one of peace, attacked by French government agents. The Rainbow Warrior showed we were vulnerable, and we still are.
Well, anything could happen. If it can happen in the United States, it can happen here. We have no evidence to suggest, however, that New Zealand is a target. I have to say that.
You know, somebody could go in here down to Wellington Airport, jump on a 737 and crash into the Beehive. It's that simple. You don't have to be a great terrorist. You know what I mean? And that's what's scary.
An Air New Zealand first officer told 3 News no pilot would willingly crash a commercial flight into a building full of people.
Well, we suspect that they probably killed the crew.
Would a pilot
Probably not.
be able to do that? I wouldn't think so.
I don't think he'd want to. I mean, he would. He'd have to be killed before they go in, I'd imagine.
Victoria University lecturer Jim Veach studies terrorism. He says New Zealand's unlikely to be the target of such warfare. We're too far away, and unlike the US, don't get so involved policing other nations.
I don't think New Zealand is important strategically. This clashes between America and her opponents, principally in the Middle East.
Opponents who, like the Oklahoma bomber Timothy McVeigh, want America to take responsibility for the pain they say it inflicts on people in the Middle East. A fire officer who helped clear up after that tragedy was in Wellington today and says New Zealand must be prepared for anything.
When the crunch time comes, when that big incident comes, whether it's an earthquake or a terrorist attack or whatever, that you have, you've planned on that and you know how to handle it when it comes up.
That's insurance for emergency services. For travellers who are the victims of terrorist attacks, it's cold comfort to know that at least they won't have to fight their insurance company. Terrorism, unlike war zones, is covered by holiday insurance. Jill Newland, 3 News.
Well, we're taking another break, but stay with us for this extended edition of 3 News, America Under Attack.
This is so terrible.
I'm going to fight for this one. You have my word. There's enough to go forward.
There's nothing to go forward.
Defendant denied.
Where the hell was your pride today?
I'm pregnant.
Wow. Who's the father?
I'm going to be a single mom.
Raising a kid alone. You think it's right?
Go to hell.
Artificial insemination or the old-fashioned way?
The Practice, 8:30 Thursday on 3.
You've always wanted someone to share your fun with, haven't you? Mazda 323 SP20. Get in. Be moved.
Cantong's stir-fry sauces combine fresh, natural ingredients to bring you the many tastes of Asia. Like Cantong's sweet and sour chicken, with lots of crisp vegetable pieces in a delicious mild sauce. So good, you know the kids will eat all their veggies. Eventually. For a stir-fry the whole family will love, you can't go wrong with Cantong.
They hate us, you know. The humans, we are suffering for the mistakes they made because when the end comes, all that will be left is us.
AI.
Not your fault, eh?
Yeah. See.
Do you always drive this fast?
Schumacher. 3 years.
Well, looks like we've done more damage to my car than yours.
Mommy.
Call an ambulance!
Do something. Mommy.
I am the Firestorm cordless multi-tool. I'm a loner. I am 3 tools in 1, so I can take care of things just fine by myself. If I have something to cut, I'm a saw. If I have sanding to do, bam, sander. And if I feel like drilling, well then, guess what? People tell me my lifestyle's a recipe for loneliness. Table for 1, please. I I am the Firestorm Multi-Tool. I am built by Black & Decker.
Whiskers and Pedigree bring